All right, hi everyone, I'm Karen. So today I will be showing you guys my case study, which I decided to call Susie Invite, your personal helper for scheduling playdates. What I found while researching this was that users want ease and control when they're scheduling playdates for their kids. Moms are really busy people, we all know that, and they need help and they need to find time and activities for their family and also for themselves. That was one of the big things I found doing this. In fact, that more than a third of parents schedule playdates for their kids in order to see their own friends. They need the activities to be easy to find, and they need something that's fun for both themselves and their children. But that's a lot of work to distill all of that. So I wanted to do something that would get through that process. They need someone that's approachable, like a friend who's really in the know. So someone like Susie will help you research, reach out to others, and get all the details for your playdate in line. You just invite her to your calendar event, and she'll suggest great family-friendly deals that are tailored to your tastes, near your location, and at the time that you've already chosen. She works in conjunction with your own calendar, your own email, and your own time to take the tricky work off your plate and leave your own preferences to you. How I reached this point was I first started with a survey. I sent it out via email and social media and received 47 responses from all over the country, urban areas, rural areas, everywhere, so I got a pretty good variety of answers. And I found some things that held true across the board. This, what I said before, that 17 out of 47 parents scheduled playdates in order to socialize with their own friends, which I thought was really interesting and surprising. The majority of people use their mobile phones to schedule playdates. And then these 2 points here that referred to how they scheduled them, which was referring to their own calendar, as you might imagine, but also that a lot of the parents preferred to schedule the playdates in advance as opposed to a spur of the moment. So I decided to look into those two things a little bit closer and see how people were interacting with calendars and whether or not they were interested in interacting with something new. Google keyword search told me that they were not interested at all in a family-focused calendar app, but they were still interested, very interested, in using a traditional calendar. So I decided to make sure that whatever we were doing interacted with the calendar that they were already comfortable with using. I took a look at what competitors were doing. I found there were, a few, mostly these two, Meetup and Kangadoo. Meetup has a bunch of categories for families and playdates, but it's still a really big network that leaves a lot of the distilling the activities work to the user. It doesn't really help you out with that. It also doesn't interact well with the calendars that users already use. Kangadoo is specifically for playdates, family stuff, and working with kids. But it requires users to interact only with people who already have the app, which is also something that had come out in the survey, that people really didn't want to have to go somewhere new. A few people specifically said they didn't want an app to help them do this, and yet they were already using apps technically. They were using their calendar, they were using their email, and they were texting. So I wanted to make sure that whatever we were doing integrated with those three things. Instant Playdates is kind of like a less capable version of Kangadoo. So who are the people who might use these things? Susie Invite's users would be mostly women, moms of young children, and particularly people who spend time and money booking activities for themselves and their kids. They're very busy people, whether it's from their own schedule or because parents these days tend to be very involved with their kids. So I wanted something, again, that would work into their scheduling processes that they already have. I came up with three main ways that someone might be able to interact with Susie Invite. The most basic would be this one at the bottom here, where they go to the website via direct URL. Either they've read about it somewhere, they see it posted on social media, but they can go to the website and start the interaction there. The two slightly more interesting ways, I thought, could be, first of all, they could do it via a new event invite. So all the user would have to do is add Susie Invite as an invitee to a calendar event on Google Calendar, on iCal, whatever they happen to use, and that would flag the product to start interacting with them. So all they'd have to do is add the person, it would activate the service, and the service would reach out to them after they've invited them to their event. The third way would be to be a friend who's invited to that prior event that maybe doesn't already know about Susie Invite, but has been invited by someone who does. That person would receive the same communications as this person if they opt in, and therefore this flow is all united here. So what might these interactions look like on screen? I sketched out some rough paper prototypes, and I did some user tests with 3 people. Mainly, I found that there was some confusion in terms of clarity and how to move through the app. They were surprised about some of the interactions. A lot of people went into this thinking that it would be a product that was a standalone app. They were surprised when it interacted with things they already used, but in a good way. But I decided that that was still something I should clarify so they knew what to expect and where they would be pushed along. I had a number of people say this exactly. I didn't know Susie wasn't an actual person, which again, I took as both a good and a bad thing. That was good that the interactions felt pretty natural, but it may be bad that it wasn't quite clear enough that she wasn't their actual friend. So taking that, I went and did some more refined wireframes. I tested those with an interactive prototype. And again, I found, that there needed to be a little more clarity. This time, though, it was more clarity in the language that moved people throughout the app. They wanted more descriptive subject lines. They were a little bit confused about the voting process I had set up and how to pick the deals. And they wanted some more information before they were to purchase anything based on the actual activity location. So we can go down and try the app in a second, but before we jump away, what's next for Susie Invite? The broad picture of what I thought could happen with this app in the future would be it could offer a wider range of activities and deals if it were to pair with retailers. They could also pair up with a media company to reach their larger subscriber base and offer more tailored content based on the data that a larger company like that would have. And the one that I found most interesting was that possibly it could be used to schedule and plan for longer periods of time, like a family vacation or a weekend away, and instead of just booking one event at a time, know what's already been done and location and that sort of thing to book a more extended plan. So we can go over to try it. So this is an email that you would see if you're a Google Calendar user and you have received an email invite to an event by someone who already uses Susie Invite. So you can see the description here inviting you to join. Let's have a play date. I've added Susie Invite to the group. She will send us some cool, kid-friendly deals to choose from for this weekend. Just accept the invite and watch for her email. You can click through. It shuttles to your own calendar app. This is iCal. You can see the same details here. Click through to see who's been invited. You can see Susie's been added here as if she's an event participant. You accept it, and there it is on your calendar. When everyone's accepted, you receive an email from Susie suggesting playdate deals for the time that you have accepted. Viewing this email, you can scroll through, see the ones you're interested in, decide, oh, maybe that one sounds good. It clicks through to the site and shows you the information. So you can scroll through, check out the options, click on one, look at the details, decide that's the one you want to choose. You submit your choices. And you're fed through to a place where it tells you, thanks, great, we know what you like, let's wait and see what everyone else in the group is interested in. You can decide to buy now if you don't want to wait, if you already know what your friends are going to choose. Otherwise, once everyone has chosen, you get a second email that tells you that the time is now, the deals have been chosen, and now you can go and buy them. So this group has chosen zoo tickets and ice cream as their most popular choices. You can take a look here. Go ahead to check out. It brings you back to the site from your email. Decide if you want to purchase one or both. Continue through. We'll go ahead and pay. Great, now you've got your deals. You'll get the tickets within 24 hours. Share this with your friends if you're interested in. Otherwise, wait and you've received your tickets. There we go. If you want to click through to the site, this is what the site would look like on the landing page if someone were to come to it directly. Some examples of deals, or you can go through and start scheduling an event from scratch. So that was where I went with that. Like I said, I really wanted to meet people where they were already, especially because I had a lot of people say that they really wanted to keep this as a very organic process, and they were already using these things. So I decided to bring the information to them where they were. So you'll see that you pretty much only took you out of your own interfaces when there were critical moments when you had to choose and when you had to buy. The rest of it was fed to you directly. So that's Suzy Invite. Does anyone have any questions? Go ahead.
When you were doing prototyping and you were making modifications based on the feedback you got, what was your cycle time?
Sorry?
What was the cycle to come back and do prototype?
What was the cycle?
How long did it take for you to come back and modified?
It was about a week each time. Ideally, I would do another round or two, but the class that I was in ended, so we had to present, to be honest. But you?
I was wondering about where you got your surveys respondents from?
So the survey respondents, I emailed out to friends and family who I knew either had kids or knew people who would have kids. I asked them to forward it along, and also posted on Facebook with the same kind of thing. And I had a couple friends who were very generous with passing it along, and that worked out pretty well. Anyone else? Again?
How did you address what you call privacy concerns, security concerns that you're opening the world to other people who you may not know, I guess?
The surveys were anonymous.
No, what I meant the product. Suzy.
Oh, the product?
Yeah, so when a person's using it, the mother's using it.
Right.
Does she know who she's going to? If she doesn't know who she's looking to?
Like you mean who, in terms of, well, the people invited to the event would be the people that she chooses. You mean in terms of opting into the service?
Choosing people she knows, or does she choose people she doesn't know?
That would be up to her. She would, I was picturing it that they're choosing people that they know. They would invite the people that they've typically invited to these types of things already, yeah. But I suppose if they were really outgoing, they could invite anyone.
Well, then it would mean some other parts of the application would have to support the idea of inviting people you don't know. That would be, you'd have to consider
Right,
other things then.
Right.
Anyway.
Anyone else?
How did you work out the monetization of it? How does it come into play?
The monetization, I mean, that would come from purchasing the deals, and if there was anything, sponsored events that worked through this. At this point, the case study was mostly just focused on like what the structure of this could be. That would be something I would spend more time thinking about going forward.
Was surveying your primary method of research? Or did you do any interviews or anything like that?
No, surveying was the primary method. It was a pretty extensive survey between that and then looking at the competitors and what reviews were out for that already, but no interviews.
And And were you able to kind of like garner the potential personas based on like, I kind of missed a little bit where you, I suppose, identified similarities between what you saw in the survey responses?
Yeah, that's correct. Mm-hmm. And back. Oh, someone over here.
I'm sorry, this is just a question that's been bugging me from the beginning. Why did you choose his name? Which was the second runner-up for the name when you were trying to decide your name? Any
Well,
specific reason why you chose his name?
no, I did want it to sound like an actual person, especially if you're interacting with moms and families. I felt like you wanted it to feel like not too techy and very approachable. So I just kind of thought of names that might fit that.
For the persona, did you consider creating other type of profiles, like child care providers, like grandparents that maybe not the mom or the dad, but the grandparents, or babysitters that like high school kids or things like that?
Yeah, definitely. That again would be a next step, kind of thinking about how it could expand. I definitely thought that it could be a good thing for like babysitters or caretakers as a way to help kind of like set up, like pre-approved activities for kids. That could be really interesting.
Let's get a round of applause there.
If you want to set it up the way you want it. Yeah. View as we'll do a single page, so it's look like that. All right, here we go.
1 second, I'll just. Can you hear me? Is it loud enough? Okay, so hi everybody. Thanks for the opportunity. My name is Hanan Greenblatt. I'm from Israel. Finished my army service 3.5 years ago, and started my entrepreneurship adventure. I mainly failed the last 3.5 years, but I learned a lot. And during the last years, I found that the user experience part and the design part are just a crucial way of building startups. And I decided a few months ago to come to New York just to do different courses in UI design, user experience design, front-end design, but just going deeper into the different roles of the partners you're going to work with when you open a startup, the initial team. So I took this course in NYU, which is an intensive course of user experience, which was really good. And if you're looking for something, I totally recommend it. And I want to show you the project that I worked on. So the name of, it's an app, it's called Go Loud. The main idea of the app is connecting between listeners and between lecturers. So there's a lot of social apps today and a lot of websites in there that connect between people. But when I came to New York, where I come from, it's very small. The tech scene and the user experience scene is kind of small, and it's very easy to follow it. But when I came to New York, just the amount and vast of experienced people, talented people, you can get a lot of inspiration, tons of meetups, just a lot of things that you can follow and go and see. So I found it kind of hard to follow everything. So I thought of this idea of creating this app where you can follow lecturers and where lecturers can get notified and get an idea where they are wanted. So the main vision, Go Loud wants to help people easily follow their favorite lecturers around the world. As a listener, get notified when your favorite lecturer arrives in town. And as a lecturer, grow and expand your audience, find out where there is demand for your expertise. So there's a few case studies that I can talk about, but I chose Meetup. And also we're now on a Meetup, so probably it's a good idea. I'll talk about the cons of it. I mean, Meetup, the reviews are not accurate. There's some groups, I go to a lot of Meetups, especially now in New York. You can go to a group and it can be like really great, but then you can go a week after, it could be shit or not really good. I guess it maybe happened to you when you went to some meetups that were really successful or less successful. And just it's not driven by personas. It's, I mean, now you have students talking. Sometimes you can go and you have experience lecturer, but it's not very persona driven. Any meetup in the end is kind of a platform that is very busy. You have the meetup, you have the information, you have bio and who's coming. You have all this additional information, but in the end it's not, also as I said, not persona driven. So the pros, of course, Meetup is a huge website. You have a lot of users using it already, and in the end it works. I mean, you are here, so probably it works. So part of the user experience, part of it, working on the persona, I interviewed people from Israel actually, but gave them like fake names. So the first is going to be Jon Snow, which by mistake I chose the name, but he's a psychologist. He is in the psychology and behavioral economics field. He was a lecturer for a lot of years in university, and he retired, and now he wants to keep on giving lectures. His attitude is positive thinking, the world of academics, and appreciates hard work and sharp minds. Values, is a big believer of sharing knowledge between people, and his fears is just not to get to more people to give his lectures and share his knowledge. That's on the one side of the user. The other side, I won't go deep into all the details, but on the other side we have Guy, which is a 27 years old student. Values, other opinions, other ideas, always looking for inspiration. He has this fear of becoming like a boring person, and is like a TED addict, and he just tries to find more information and just expand his knowledge. So the app, this is the app map. It's kind of simple in a way. You just log in or register, as you know already, and then you can set a lecture as a lecturer. You can see upcoming lectures around you in your city or maybe in your country, whatever you want to determine. And you have a side menu where you can see actually who are the people that you follow, and you have your own profile. So as a lecturer, you can update it and just write information about yourself. So I'm also a designer, and I do UI design, and I think that the UI is a really crucial part of the user experience. I think the user experience, or what I learned, is the most crucial part. So really good user experience and maybe just average UI design can work, not the opposite way around. But I think it's a very important process, a very important part of the process. So I chose a few photos, just lectures that I follow on TED.com, pulled out a few colors out of it, very simple, chose a typography, and going to the UI. So thinking about something which should be very simple, very neat, very clean for the user, not too much information. He just wants to follow and find new lecturers, and that's his main idea. So this is the UI. We're thinking about the keywords, like how to define it. So elegant, as I said. I think today you have so many apps and so many websites. Every week I see a few dozens, like new ones. And I think just the appealing of the app should be really good. And before even users know what you do, they determine already. They have like a quick opinion about what you do. So we try to keep it. This is a few components. Just shapes and colors that we chose from like print screens from the actual app. I'll just go into the prototype. Okay, so as I said, you can get started. Let's get to know you. You go into, second. Okay, let's leave that. I'll go back to my PDF. You get started, you have the login screen where you just put basic information, and then we did a 4-step registration. So we added, I think that in the end you have so many things that there are so many apps and just products that ask you for information even before you even see the product. I know there's a lot of products out there that you can get into the app before you even register. So here we needed the information, so you can see on the top like the bar that just shows you like what stage you are. There's a few websites, the rebrand of Time Magazine and HBR Magazine. You can see there's a trend of just showing the user on what, like if he's reading an article, so just let me know how much am I left with to read or what stage am I. So we went with the registration, the same part. So just very quickly, you just put in your information, choose your interests. So as a user, I can just offer you afterwards lecturers, and you connect your social media. Then the newsfeed, very simple again. There's only 5 screens, mainly on the app. You have lecturers that we recommend. The app recommends you, so you can see like the subject and the name. You can add them to your favorites. So once you click on the plus button or you go to the side menu, you can see the actual lectures that you're following. You can click on the button to add more people manually, of course. And then you have upcoming. So upcoming means that if there's a lecture in Israel or Berlin or anywhere around the world, you can in the end see when he comes in town. So you don't really need to follow the people and just keep getting updated about them. You can just see when they're going to come, and then you can go. So you have basic information, just the name of the guy, the name of the actual lecture, location and time. Then you have your profile. So as a lecturer, you can write, again, bio about yourself. You can see the interest, or as a user, of course, you can have your information. And for the lecture, you have the screen of set a lecture. So you put in the title, just, again, a few details, date and time, location, and just a bit of information about the lecture. You set it, and then you're ready to go. The wireframes, my way I work with Photoshop. I found that doing wireframes, usually if you can do it very roughly. I try to get maybe a bit, sometimes it may be a bit too deep into the wireframes, but I believe even when I go back and forth, I still think that if you work with designers, I'm finishing, don't worry, Matt. If you work with designers, so it really helps when your wireframes are very obvious and clean. Just so that's what I tried. Anyway, so these are the wireframes, and that's it. Thanks. Oh yeah, questions? Anyone?
Microphone, I guess. In terms of lectures, did you think also about people not being in the same place as you are, but you were looking for a lecture where they might be doing it on the web?
Yeah. So. Yeah, I think today, I mean, getting inspired, you have TED.com, which is a great place, and a lot of online platforms where you can really listen to lectures. So this is more of offline. I mean, it mainly came from my experience going to meetups, and there was and knowing a lot of people that I want to listen to, and just it's very tiring. You have like tons of tabs and a lot of favorites that I'm saving, and just to follow all the people seems very hard. So I want to get notified when a lecture that I love comes to city, and just going offline and see him in the real world and not through the website. Maybe it can be both later, yeah, but from offline first.
Did you do interviews before deciding on your case study, or can I ask about your interviews and who you interviewed, how many, and then whether that impacted your decision for the case study or whether the case study came first?
Yeah, so I'll be very honest. I did it in 5 days, the whole project, because I was part of the course. So what I did is talk to lecturers here from the university, from NYU, and from lecturers that I know back home, and to the people. So I first started with them before I went into the case study. I was eager to start with the case study because the idea came from there, from not being satisfied with Meetup or for that specific idea. But in the end, yeah, I mean, I think it's a very important and crucial part. I would go much deeper into it, but they were pushing us to do the UI also, but yeah. Okay, that's it. Thanks.
Hi guys, thanks for having me. My name's Catherine. I go by the name Kato, and I was actually in the same class as Marina, so this is a lot of firsts for the both of us. And when doing this, we were both kind of situated with this, what can we build out? So one of the biggest things that I had a gripe with was going to bars. So when you go to a bar, what's probably the biggest pain point when you walk in? It's getting the bartender's attention. It's getting your drink. It's even just going up to paying for it. So I decided to create this application called BarTab. It's a mobile application. Everything is done completely and entirely on your mobile. So what happens is it allows patrons to place and pay for orders without the need of even having the need to even like initiate with the bartender and for them to do any of your transactions. So for its potential, I wanted to go beyond just the application itself. So there's sort of a beginning, a middle, and an end to this journey. In the beginning, it starts off with, hey, where do I want to go? What do I want to do? I want to meet up with my friends. Where should I go? So social setting. Let's search for it. Once you search for it, you want to check in. And then after that, maybe possibly tell your friends, hey, I'm over at this bar. And then this is where the app comes in. This is the meat of it. You want to get a drink, so you check into the bar, and once you're at the bar, you check the menu out and you say, okay, this is the drink that I want, you order it, and then pick up your drink, and then you pay for it. And then beyond that, in terms of future application, it can go beyond just like ordering your drinks for yourself, but also for your friends, and then even passing along a drink specialist to your friends to use for future use. And then in terms of going beyond just that, you can go to ordering a cab for yourself in case you're just not in any way, shape, or form into getting home, and also even alerting friends or letting people know, hey, I got home safe. But for the purpose of this entire series, what I decided it's primarily on the flow of just finding a bar, ordering your drink, paying for your drink, and done. So the user goals that I wanted to focus in on for this one particular flow was I wanted to decrease the wait times that were associated with getting the bartender's attention and then getting your drink and then waiting for your drink, knowing when your drink was ready, and then even like up to just paying for it. So, as part of that, you reduce the level of frustration. It also empowers your users to feel entirely in control of what they're ordering and what they want. And then in terms of future application, as I mentioned, I want to make this sort of a social application where you're capable of sharing drinks with friends, splitting bills, and even potentially just inviting them to events and giving other promotions. And of course, safety. I want it to be socially responsible, and you want people to be aware of their habits and what they're doing, and to make sure that people aren't getting home drunk or getting into accidents. And as far as the business goals, it's an easier way to control your inventory, and figure out how much is actually being pumped out. It makes it a lot faster to pump out drinks, an increase in sales, hopefully, high visibility for bars that aren't really, really getting a couple of customers in. It also helps with promoters in telling users, hey, there's a special drink here, or there's a special event going on. Hopefully increase some sort of customer satisfaction with some feedback, and once again, instigate social responsibility. So how did we get there? With this application came a few hurdles. So first thing is, what do you think people really want when they walk in? So I asked around a few people. I created an initial prototype, and upon that prototype, the highlights of this were, primary objective, I want to see bars. What do these bars have to offer? And then also finding, what bars are in the general vicinity that I can go to that I would potentially like. And having visuals like maps and even saying the bar names just really help people get an idea of where it was in terms of their geolocation. So in terms of pain points from my users, they said that from the initial prototype, which you won't see here today, they said, oh, well, we'd really like to have more information about the bars. You know, could you tell us a little descriptive pieces about it? Like, is it a sports bar? Is it like a lounge? And so on and so forth. Another thing was in the initial prototype, the logo was way too big, so I had to decrease that and wanted to focus more on the actual experience in it. And little things, like little modules that people were hitting upon, like, oh, there's this blue circle on the map. What does that signify? So all that got changed, and so you'll be seeing the second prototype. And again, for the purposes of this class, we did several user journeys, but I actually focused on just one. Again, it's signing in, then actually finding a bar. After you found the bar, you check in, you find the bar menu, you find your drink, you order it, and then eventually pay. As far as the site map, it's pretty simple and basic, but again, for future build-out and purposes, it would be great to have a social aspect involved, and even further out to having a collaborative efforts with people like Uber to take you home. So the key takeaways, again, we wanted to empower users. We wanted to know that what they're ordering is exactly what they're ordering, and that they didn't feel like they were kind of being ignored by a bartender. Another thing in the usability testing was my call to actions weren't very clear. So, you know, it's moving your user along forward so that you could get onto the next step, and making sure that they don't get lost in the process. Another thing as part of that journey, the beginning, middle, end that I showed you initially, they wanted more information at the beginning and less, because if you think about it in the grander scale of things, the more you drink, the more you're not likely to actually be capable of, you know, going through the series of phases. So in terms of the next phase, again, building it beyond just the application and making it more of a journey from the beginning up to the end, from going to a bar to getting home. So at this stage, it's actually in its second prototype phase. So let me just sample that out for you. Hopefully you guys can see that. So we're just going to do one user flow for if you're already an existing user and you sign in. Once you sign in, you get an image of the map where you're currently located over here. And then, like, let's just say we want to go to Beauty in Essex, somewhere in the Lower East Side. Then we have this next page, which is the info about the bar. It tells you, you know, the time, the contact info, and then it gives you little flags about what exactly, what kind of bar that is. And then from there, we're going to check in. So once you're checked in, you decide, hey, I don't know what I want, so let's see. There's some beer, there's some cocktails. Hey, let's go with this Pink Panther. It looks great. So from there, it tells you the order detail, and you say for the specific drink, yeah, sure, I'd love to order this. Once you're ordering it, you get a pending notification, and sorry, that went by really quick. A pending notification to tell you how long before your drink is actually ready. And so when you're ready, you can either tap or scan. But just as a disclaimer, I actually changed this this slide just because for future build out, since it's currently still in its third phase of the prototype, because no one really wants to scan anymore. And the tapping feature is great, but also if you think about when you sit in line at, let's just say, a deli, and you take a number, it's probably a lot easier to just show the bartender, hey, I'm number 35. But again, that was just something I was toying with. And so once it's confirmed that you've claimed your drink, you can go back to the drink menu, you can go to your tab, or you can close it out. So if you check out your open tab, it already has a prefixed tip on it, and that's probably the hardest part for most people, is suggesting a tip. And in future build out, again, you can actually preemptively choose your tip from there, and let's just say you wanted to close out your tab from here. Close it out, it says, yay, thanks for coming, you know, you paid X amount, and then you can go back and find another bar again. So that's where it's at right now, and hopefully for future build out, these are the next steps that I'm trying to take. So again, on the drink status page, the visuals are definitely going to be changing for that. Instead of a circular pending pinwheel, it's going to be more of a progress, like a filler of the page. In terms of paying for the drinks, I am going to completely get rid of those small icons which say scan or tap. In terms of the bar tab detail page, using more white space to show the actual product, or in terms of like beer, cocktails, and so forth. And as well as the nav bar, which I didn't really touch upon much, but that's going to be a changing nav bar just because it wasn't very specific in my prototype. So I can answer more questions on that if you have any, if you'd like to touch upon that. And then in terms of closing the payment, less imagery, there was too much on the page, so we're going to dumb that down even more. And then as far as user testing, hopefully by the third prototype, we'll be doing more usability testing to figure out where exactly everyone's head's at. And as far as an idea, I was thinking of doing a real-world application for usability testing of having a pop-up bar. People come in, they get drinks, you test the application, and then see where it goes and see how it goes from there. But that's where it's at so far. And any questions?
Hi. Love this idea. One, because I find paying for bar tabs really annoying. But I have a question. So once you put in your drink order, how do I know where to find you?
So there should be, if you have a bar set up, the idea was to have one sole bartender actually taking in the orders from this application and tending to the people who are actually going to claim it. So let's just say someone came up and was like, oh, my drink's ready, I got my notification. Is it ready? So the bartender will be like, oh yeah, it's right here. So
Well, your phone, I didn't see like an alert system like saying your drink is ready, like, you know, sort of like the circular vibrating ones you get at restaurants. Like, how do you know when your drink is ready?
So let's just say your phone goes into sleep mode, right? It'll automatically vibrate and it'll alert you, be like, oh, your drink is ready at the bar sectioned in this part of the bar. Please pick up, talk to your bartender, show your thing, but in less words, obviously. So.
Right. Okay, I was curious. Thanks.
Sure.
When is the drink paid for? When is it, in terms of this process, when is the drink paid for?
The drink is paid for, so there are one of two things. There's an automatic closeout if, let's just say, again, this is for future build-out. If you leave the bar and your geolocator says that you are more than X amount of feet away from the bar, it automatically closes your bar tab with your preset tip amount.
So you're not paying for it when you order it?
You order it, but it'll automatically, if you step away from the bar, it'll automatically pay. That's one way. The other way is when you close out on this page, when you say pay total, that's when you automatically close out your tab.
The reason I'm asking the question is, I'm outside 3 blocks away, and I use this thing to order a drink. Can I do that?
The idea is that as long as you're within the vicinity, so like let's just say within 500 feet of the establishment, you can check in. And also in future build-out, I would hope that all your information would say that you were legally, you know, within the age limit to actually drink.
That's part of my scenario question,
Right.
is that how is this system going to know that it's somebody who's intending to actually get a drink, and two, that they are actually allowed to get a drink? That's that, you know, in terms of the scenario using,
Right.
you know, the device, how are you checking that out before the drink is actually created?
Sure. So like for the initial sign up, you actually have to give all your information and hopefully validate it with, like let's say you give your social security number just for validation, right?
No, it's not gonna work.
Just to say that you're legally 18, or just even your, oh, actually that's a great one, your state ID can validate. So every state ID has a unique number, correct? So as soon as you have your ID number in there, it can validate whether or not you are of legal drinking age. So from there, it's part of the sign up. It's not necessarily just, oh, you click into the application and, you know, go on your merry little way, because that's also, you know, a legality issue. So.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, I'm just looking at the potential for the abuse of this.
Oh,
It's so
yeah,
convenient.
absolutely. And the other...
Also, you miss out on any conversation you had with the bartender.
Right. Well, if that's how you want it, if that's how you want to do it, that's totally fine. But for extremely, this is more geared towards like extremely busy bars where you're just trying to get a drink and you just can't get one. But to finish up your point, definitely there is an issue of like underage drinking, abuse, and for, again, future build-out, it would be nice to have setting caps on yourself, and even if you're giving drinks to your friends, if they've reached a certain cap or a limit, they're no longer allowed to redeem their drinks, for example. And also, again, being socially responsible and saying, hey, here's an Uber, get home. You're in no shape to even go to the next bar, just go home. So hopefully that answers your question.
The potential bars back over their own menus, or would it be a set? Sorry. Would it be a set of specialized drinks that everybody knows, or would each bar have their own particular menu? Meaning, like, I know there's a couple of drinks that all the bars kind of do. Would it already be preloaded in, or do you have to go to each bar's menu and pull it up?
That's a great question. So the question was, is the application going to have preset menus, or are they going to have unique menus according to each bar's menu? So definitely, because this is sort of like a reverse point of sale system, in terms of the manager of the bar, they should be able to upload their menu and all the details that are associated with it, similar to if any of you have ever used Square, they have to upload their own personal menus in there, and from then on they usually have like pictures or even just words, and you just click on the screen to indicate what how to ring up the order, so it's going to be in something similar to that.
So I guess, well, I was just a thought, but I guess a lot of places, if they already require to check ID at door, that kind of help with
The making sure the legal aspects taken care of.
Absolutely.
Because they couldn't pick up their drinks if they can't get into the establishment.
Absolutely.
But anyway, I don't know about any other legal, obstacles, but I was curious about users as far as the restaurant or bar's perspective. What is your assumption to get them to want to use this service? And I guess because there would need to be some sort of process change for the establishment, they would probably need to make some sort of like new queue in which a bartender doesn't even interact with the individuals and they have like some other line or something. So can you maybe speak to some of the research, if any, for the restaurant or the assumptions you have for how they might adopt?
Okay, so unfortunately I haven't gotten to that level of actually interacting with any establishments that would be willing to do this, but if I were to start somewhere, I would say that if you were to pick up your drink at a bar, there would be a specific location at the bar that would say, hey, this is where you actually pick up your beverage. And going back to what I mentioned earlier, it would be great if you had one bartender that was actually focused on making those specific drinks for the orders that are coming in. So think about it this way. It's like almost like a chef's line. You put in an order goes in, order's up, everyone in the line's going. But instead of having like a line of chefs, it's more of just one bartender taking the orders and just banging them out and getting them like quickly out and to whom they need to, and just verifying, yes, you are the person who's supposed to pick up, this drink. Hopefully that answers your question.
I'm still not clear about the information flow. So like a person pays, how does the bartender know like what to make, and then how does the bartender tell the person like when it's ready? Is there like a separate app for the bartender, or?
So I have not created the management end of that. But again, that's part of a future build out that I have plans for. But in terms of the bartender, this isn't supposed to be a two-way application for the user and for the establishment. This is only just the front end for an actual user coming in to order a drink. So on the back end, it would be similar to, again, if you were banging out orders or shooting out orders in a restaurant, they go in a ticket form. In the same fashion, you say this ticket is associated with this table, but instead you say this ticket is associated with this individual. And your verification, again, this page is gonna change. When it says your drink is ready, hopefully it'll be, I'm still trying to figure it out, to be honest, but it'll say something like, oh, this is your number, this is your name, that's unique to you. You show it to the bartender and you say, I'm verifying that this is my drink. Does that help? Any other questions?
I have more of like a suggestion for
Shoot.
your drink is ready. When the drink is ready, maybe, I don't know if it's possible engineering-wise, maybe you can have the phone vibrate.
Yes, absolutely.
That'd be pretty cool. Because, there's some restaurants that have the little thing and it notifies you when it's ready. It vibrates. So that'd be pretty cool. And maybe like a drunk mode for future applications. Like
Right.
the longer the app is on, the bigger the buttons and fonts get.
Exactly.
So-
That's what I was alluding to. So more information at the beginning and less as it goes by, because no one's going to be in any way, shape, or form to be thinking at a high level to say, oh yeah, I need to call an Uber. Where am I going?
Yeah.
So no, great suggestion. Thank you.
That's it. I'll click the link to open up in that tab. Cool. Hi, I'm Bella. I work for Meetup as UI UX designer. I took Matthew's class this spring, and here's my project. My project name, Quick Fix. It is an app for communication with building management. So Quick Fix is an app that helps residents contact their building management faster and with more ease. The user can submit a request and receive confirmation from building management in less than 5 minutes. So after I had this idea, I took a survey in Amazon Turk and also sent out to my friends who live in New York City. So I got 30 response, and from the response, 57% of renters complain about wasting time on back and forward phone call with their management. So I've been thinking by efficient communication with building management, you can improve the living experience. Also, it benefits from just from the simple reputation and less turnover residents and higher demand for the units. So it's also good for the management system. So after I set up the goal, I did some search online. So here's my competitors. One called My Equity Apartments. So they basically cover every aspect of a resident's need, and they're really easy to use. But the thing is, they only for the equity property residents, and they don't have mobile version. And also another one is Building Link. They have over 1 million users, and they're pretty easy to use. And they also have website and app. But the app is really bad. It's really hard to use, and it's so not stable. So I've been follow up with the survey tester, and I had few interviews with them. And here's the one typical cases. So the persona is Lillian. She's my friend, and she's a full-time designer who lives in New York City more than 5 years. And she's spending 3 hours daily on commute to work in New Jersey. And the problem is she had a bug issue in her apartment, and she had to call her building management to convince them to take a look at it first, and then another several calls to set up a time. And when she found out a bug issue come back 10 days later, she decided to just deal with herself. It's too painful to communicate with her management. So what she need is definitely to using her commute time to communicate with her management more efficiently. So I came up with this user flow. So you get download this app via management's email or text. So then you will go to this welcome page, and then if you're a new user, you'll set up a location by GPS or tap your address in, and also you send the like the system send the PIN code through the text, you already like your information is already in the management side, so they already like put everything for you, like your name and your phone number, and then you just like verify by your PIN code. And for here, you can just like send a new request, and for the users, you'll see like the open request and request history. So it will like ask you if it's emergency. If it's emergency, you should just like call. Like here, you can either like just type a description, or like upload or take a video, or like a voice note. And then after you describe your problem, then you'll like see the permission to enter. If you say yes, they will like asking you if you have pet or kid, and then you just confirm it. If you say no, you'll schedule a time with the super. So here comes my first paper prototype. And I have this user test with 5 people, and they have some problem with it. Can you hear it?
230 West 37th Street. And click, is this clickable?
So I'll just like tell you guys. So 5 out of 5 users, they actually 5 of the users, they kind of like successful doing the whole process. There are like several details. They didn't like really find the GPS button. They all type in. And also like 3 of them think the whole process is super long. It takes forever to like submit a request. And none of them actually find this taking photo, taking video button. So I have my second round on like digital prototype. And also like they didn't really notice the GPS button, and also they got lost in this emergency page because there are too many buttons there and they don't know where to click, and also like they have some suggestion of like the button placement. So here comes the final product. So just like the scenario is you just moving this place like 230 W37th Street, and you want to like submit like request saying your sink is leaking or something. So you just click GPS, or you can type it here and enter. So your information is already here, and please enter your apartment number, and you enter apartment number and say next. And your phone is being registered with the management, so here's like your phone number, and like give the code. Next. And your name is also like bundled with your phone number already registered. So they'll like asking you, how can I help you? You'll say new request or emergency, just call. And here is the open tab. It's supposed not to like show up here because you're a new user, but like I just demonstrated like for the return user. So you want to send a new request, and you say plumbing. And here you can either like describe or like take photos or take a voice note. I'm gonna take photo and use a photo. And you can like also add more like supporting stuff here and say next. And so you said, yeah, no, I wanna like schedule a time. So April, let's see. Add. So this is your appointment time, and next. So this is your confirmation, and you can like always change before you confirm it. Confirm, and then this is your open tab. So the next step is I'll do like more research on management side, because I haven't like building anything for them yet, and also like I will add more features to that app. Thank you. Questions?
When you're scheduling an appointment, you have to schedule it in reference to what's available.
Yeah.
Your time is one thing, but their time is also part of the schedule. So you'd be showing only the times that are available? Would you say that's what your intent here?
Yes. If if you actually, like, the management already put the time there, like, when they're busy, you will, like, see it's grayed out.
Okay.
So so it's like both sides.
Yeah. I mean, also, using systems like this, like I use a system like this, it's usually one in which I want to be able to do more than quick fix. In other words, quick fix is only one part of a number of things I want to do.
Yeah.
So they're existing systems, at least they're buildings with existing systems. So I'm not sure it would apply there or it would fold in, I'm not sure, if that would work.
Yeah, I mean, I will, like, build more features in the future, but, like, for now, this is, like, because I have, like, time limit.
Did you survey, I know in New York, that there are buildings already that have these services, right? You said 1 million already exists, you see, so.
Yeah, but, like, I mean, if I can just, like, convince this building management, because it's not like, for example, my building is kind of like have contract with Building Link, but as long as, like, my app is better than theirs and it's easier to use, I mean, why not? They don't use mine.
Okay, overcome what's used. All right, let's see.